Joining me today. My name is Laura Froyam. I'm an account executive here at CDI, and today we are going to be going over mobile eForms, trying to grapple, just try an Apple or Android with Laserfiche. So we're going to be digging into the Laserfiche app, everything you might need to know regarding it. If I can get my PowerPoint. All right, a few housekeeping items while we get started here. So everybody will be muted throughout the duration of the presentation, but if you have any questions, feel free to type them in the questions box and I will address them at the end. The slides and screenshots will be available upon request, and then this webinar session is being recorded and will be available to you on our YouTube site shortly after today's presentation. And please bear with me, I am a little bit sick, so I will try and mute myself if I need to. So our agenda will be, what is the Laserfiche mobile platform, who has access, configuration information, and then we're just going to do a full demo walkthrough of all of the menus and everything in the mobile app. And then, of course, we'll finish it up with any questions. So I usually like to start my presentations with the Google AI description of what the Laserfiche mobile app is or whatever module I'm talking about. But the Laserfiche mobile app works on Android or Apple phones or tablets, and it allows you to browse, search, create, copy, move, rename, modify document fields, update and submit forms, as well as add documents and make annotations and things like that. So it's really great for quick on-the-go access when you're traveling or if you are out and about in the field and you need to submit a form or do an inspection or anything that might require mobile access. So you might be wondering, do I have access to the Laserfiche mobile app? And out of the box, Laserfiche does extend the mobile app to all Laserfiche platforms, either out of the box or as an add-on. And so here on the screen here, I've got listed out the Laserfiche Cloud, if you have a Laserfiche Cloud deployment, which is any of the tiers, whether it's starter, professional, business, or a site license. Included in Cloud is the mobile app. As well as Laserfiche subscription. So if you have a self-hosted subscription of Laserfiche, the mobile app is included. But if you have a self-hosted instance of Laserfiche, which is any of these 4 options down here, the mobile app does need to be installed within your environment. And so it's either just bundled in or it's an add-on. And so if your environment has the ability to access Laserfiche through the module called Web Access, where you open up a browser and you navigate to your Laserfiche instance, if you have that within your organization, you also have Laserfiche Mobile. Again, it may just need to be configured for access, but you have the licensing already included. If you have any questions on whether or not you have the mobile app as part of your Laserfiche deployment, definitely reach out. We are always happy to help here at CDI. So first I want to dive into kind of self-hosted considerations. So something I like to call out when talking about the mobile app is that if you have a self-hosted deployment, you have more control over your settings, your permissions, who has access, all of that. And so in your self-hosted environment, again, the mobile app has to be installed. Typically, it gets installed on a public-facing server, which means, once you install the app on your phone, you configure the connection on how to navigate to your specific repository, and then you can get access. Otherwise, some organizations like to have Laserfiche set up behind a VPN, which just means if you have a VPN in your organization and you have the ability to download the VPN on your phone, maybe you get connected to the VPN on your phone, and then you can go ahead and log into the Laserfiche app that way as well. Some organizations and some feedback that we've received is, if you are using a VPN on your phone anyway, a lot of times it's a lot easier to just log into the web client through the browser, because that does give you extended functionality over the Laserfiche app. But, if you're, again, just looking for quick searching, submitting forms, things like that, again, the app is a really great option. So when you're configuring the mobile app, you do have the ability to control who has access to use the app. And so these next couple screenshots that I'm going to show are just on the self-hosted configuration settings that you have the ability to manipulate. So you can control which repositories within your environment have access to leverage the mobile app. So if you have a test environment or a development environment, maybe you want those to be available on the mobile app. Maybe you just want production to be available. In a self-hosted environment, you can control which repositories have access. Additionally, you can control which users, like by means of how they authenticate, whether or not they have access to the Laserfiche app. So you can set it up so that only your repository users with a username and password, when they go to Laserfiche, they use the username and password, and then they can log into Laserfiche. So you can set it up so that they are either allowed or denied to use the app. That might be good for more like temporary users, potentially. Again, every environment is a little bit different, but maybe you just have repository accounts for those periodic users, and you want to make sure that they don't have access to the Laserfiche app because they can download potentially things on their phone, and you just don't want to mess with that. So you can either allow them access or deny it. So again, depending on how your credentials for users or groups are set up, you can control whether or not they can have access to the mobile app. Now this screen, we're looking at the security configuration settings. And so a couple of things I want to call out is that, again, in a self-hosted environment, you have the ability to control whether or not users can export documents. So you can prevent them from exporting documents to other apps or saving copies offline and to their mobile devices. This might be really important if you, again, you're in a self-hosted environment and you've got police officers out in the field and they, are on the block of 6th Street and 7th Street and they need to see, any documents that might relate to that area. By deselecting this allows them to, or by keeping it unchecked, they have the ability to look at the documents, but they can't download or do anything with those documents. Additionally, you can configure watermarks. So if a user is uploading documents from the mobile app, you can have a watermark automatically applied, and that way you can tell whether it's been uploaded from the mobile app or if it doesn't have a watermark, then maybe it was just uploaded through the browser like normal. So you can configure that as well. This is the General tab. Here you have the ability to set up a default email message. I thought this was really interesting because, like, using the Laserfiche client or the web access client, you can right click on a document and send it out via email to your recipients. So if you are using the mobile app, you can, of course, still do that same thing, but you can also standardize what your default messaging is when you're emailing out of the app. So you can configure what you want that language to be, whether it's a Laserfiche app link only or whether it's the document, something like that. So you can control that as well. And then you also, on the next screen, this is where you can configure services. This is where you can set up easy searching from locations like OneDrive or Google Drive. So if your team not only stores documents within Laserfiche, and that's your archive of record, but they're also using Google Drive or OneDrive for their active documents, you can set it up so that there's easy import services from either of those applications so that if they're in OneDrive, they can easily import into the Laserfiche app, right on their devices. Additionally, for the self-hosted instances of organizations using the Laserfiche app, you can configure map settings so that you can view documents on a map and you can associate locations, all right through the mobile app. And so again, that's something specific to a self-hosted instance. And then because when I do my demo today, I'm going to be showing you how to use the app connected to the Laserfiche cloud environment, I just wanted to give you a couple of screenshots of what the mobile app and the maps look like. So this first screenshot is when you upload a document, it allows you to apply the location to your document automatically. This is something that also happens in the cloud environment, but you can't alternatively view those results on a map in a cloud environment, but you can have the location applied. But then if you want to view the documents associated, what you would do is you would open the navigation icon, which we'll go into when we do the live demo, and you would select maps. And then based on your location or whatever location you key in, it's going to show you any associated documents on the map that are residing within like 5 miles or 10 miles, whatever criteria you set up for your viewing radius. And then you can select the documents and open them from there. So the final configuration page for a self-hosted instance is devices. So you can control which devices have access to the mobile app. So again, these are specific to organizations that have a self-hosted subscription of Laserfiche or Laserfiche Rio or Avante or even United. Again, it gives you a little bit more control over who can log in, what you want them to be able to see and do and access with those maps. So let's talk about configuration settings within the Laserfiche cloud. So if you have a Laserfiche cloud deployment, again, regardless of the tier, whether it's starter, professional, business, or a site license or an enterprise license, you have access to download the app and get right into your Laserfiche system from there. So right now in Laserfiche Cloud, there's no way to limit access to the app. So whatever the app allows them to do is, what they have the ability to do. So you can't control whether they can export or not. You can't control which users have access or not. So again, if you have a cloud environment, everybody has the ability to download the app and connect to their instance to your Laserfiche repository. All right, so let's dive into the demo. I'm going to go ahead and show my phone screen. Let me just get logged in here. All right, so we are looking, hopefully you're seeing my Laserfiche phone. This is my dog Buster. He just got a bath recently and that was pretty cute. So I am using an Android device. So everything you see from this demo today is specific to Android users. And so I want to call out that right away we have the Laserfiche icon here. And additionally, above that, I have, the widgets. And so from this widget screen, I can add new documents, I can take a picture, or I can view the repository. So that's what those are. But we're going to go ahead and just get started by logging in. So you do have the ability to sign in with a fingerprint ID, or if you are on an Apple device, you can use, your picture setting as well, if you would prefer that instead. So let me just type in my password. And then sign in. Then I also need to do multi-factor authentication just because I have a reseller environment. So you can choose to have multi-factor authentication on or off, whatever your preference is. But the way that multi-factor authentication works is you would configure it in your you'd have to go to the web on your computer, log into your Laserfiche instance, and then you can configure multi-factor authentication in your settings. And then from there, users would just need to install an authentication provider. There are a couple you can choose from, and then they just open up an app on their phone, they get their code, they type it in. But once you're logged into Laserfiche, what we're seeing right now is our Laserfiche repository. You can set your default on what you see when you log in first, and I have mine on my repository just because I'm always searching for information. But you can set up your default to land on your tasks or start a new process, even setting it up with your offline documents if preferred. So we are just going to take a perusal around the app. So again, I am just here in my repository. Up at the top here, we can see I've got 17 notifications or tasks that I need to take action on. I can search through, I can refresh. I can go ahead and take a look at, right now it's on my open tasks, but if I have any draft tasks, so anything I've started but haven't finished would show up here. Anything in unassigned is a team task. So if you have processes that get assigned to a team, they would show up here in the unassigned area where you could then hit the 3 buttons and then assign it to yourself or reassign it to somebody else or even edit the due date if you have permissions. And then you can also see all of your completed tasks. So any tasks that you have submitted, you have the ability to view here from the mobile app as well. So let's go ahead and just start a process. So when we are talking about processes, these are Laserfiche Forms processes that your environment may have configured. And so when you click Start a Process, this is going to give you a view of all the processes that you have the ability to submit from within your organization. And today we are going to do a business license application, just so you can see what it looks like through the mobile app. So we're going to do Bill Gates because it's his birthday today. He is 70, for anybody who is interested. We're going to type in our required fields of information. Again, we have a date picker. So we can select the date on our calendar if we want. 2000. Four, 6. So we're going to go ahead and say, yes, it's the same mailing address, so you don't have to suffer through me typing in another one. I'm going to update this email. So business information, the square footage, 2,300 square feet. We've got about 56 employees or 55. Are we remodeling an existing building for your business? No. 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 So we are going to have parking. This is going to be a parking business. We've got a corporation. We can type in the corporate details on here. And then we've got our standard language here. And then it's calculated our fee for us, which is $25. And then we're going to go ahead and sign. Because I'm on my mobile device, it opens up this signing page. you can alternatively type in a name just like you would on a computer too. And then style it, color it, whatever feels right, and then save it. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and click submit. And so this is going to kick off my regular approval process. So I may have an email notification go out. Something I want to call out is if you are using the mobile app and a new task comes in and you see it come in through your email. So for this one, I got a new email. So, hey, here's a new task. Well, this actually isn't the task email, but this is the email that went out to the resident letting them know, hey, we've received your application. But if I had a task for submission and it had a link saying click here to review your task, it wouldn't actually open up the Laserfiche app automatically. So it would open up a browser window for you to log into Laserfiche through web access or through the cloud interface. So that's just something to keep in mind, that your tasks via email don't open up directly in the app. But I got an icon up here, or a new notification, and so if you're in the app, it lets you know, hey, you've got something new that you need to take action on. So my business license is actually a team task, and so that's why I selected this one. I just wanted to show what that looks like. So you can go ahead and click the 3 buttons and assign it to yourself. And then if I go back to my open tasks, we can see now that I have a new task for initial approval that I'm going to go ahead and click on. And we are going to give it a license number. $28, $6,500. And then we're going to go ahead and approve it. So now, as part of this process, I actually have more emails that go out, and the Laserfiche workflow is going to create the folder structure for that business license request. It's going to create some other standardized documentation, which we can take a look at as we continue through the demo. So that's how you interact with your tasks, so your forms processes that you have configured. In the app, you can submit, you can approve, you can reject, you can reassign, you can do all of that, but you can't configure. So any configuration or administration is still done, from your desktop or on your computer to make those changes. So I can either swipe, which brings over the navigation icon or navigation bar, or I can click the 3 lines at the top, which also opens the navigation bar from there. I'm going to go ahead and just look at, we're just going to walk through them all. So all files, again, is just your repository. If you click in it, it just brings you to your folders. This is everything that you might have access to in your desktop application or within your web access repository. So this is really, again, just a replication of everything that you would have access to, with the exception of a self-hosted environment. If you've got access to multiple repositories, again, but only one is made available through the public or through the mobile app, then you only have access to whatever that one is that was configured. If we go into our clerk services area, we're just going to go into incoming scans. And if I wanted to add a new document, I would just go ahead and click that plus icon down here at the bottom. And I can either create a folder, or I can take a picture, or I can upload an image, upload a file, or even record audio. And then that will store that directly in the repository. So I'm going to go ahead and take a picture. And I have this tempered phone glass. We'll go ahead and just take a picture. And then I'm going to click on it to make adjustments. So I can name my document whatever I want. And then down here at the bottom, we can see that we've got a location, but I can also update my metadata fields. So right now there's no template assigned, but again, this correlates with the defaults per user. So when your user logs in, if they have the city clerk template always set up as their default, you can have that set up as well. So here we can go ahead and click the drop down for our document type. So I'll just do minutes. We have the date calculating via a token. So this %/date just means that whatever today's date is what's going to get inserted in there. But you'll see that there's these little barcodes. So what this is indicating is that Laserfiche can, we can read a barcode. So I can click that. It's going to open up my camera. I don't know if you saw that. That happened pretty quick. But on that tempered glass document, I had a QR code. And when I scanned it in, the system recognized whatever was contained in that QR code and automatically placed it in our text field. This is really great for, if you are maybe doing physical records management and you're using the Laserfiche app to check out a box or check back in a box, and you have barcodes on those physical boxes, you can scan it in really easily like you saw there and have it populate that information for you. So you can do that with barcodes. I'm going to go ahead and just click OK. And then we're going to click the checkbox at the top again. And there it's going to store our new document called class. It does take a little while for it to just process in, depending on what your internet speeds are and all of that. So as you can see down here, it's saying, okay, it's processing. But again, based on how I have my repository configured, I store all of my documents in incoming scans, and then I apply a metadata template. And then based on the information in that metadata template, I have an auto-filing, auto-renaming process, pick it up and put it to where it needs to go. So I don't have to do any of that. Your workflows will still continue to run. Your forms tasks, when you submit them, will work just like normal. You're just using a different user interface. So before I get into some of those other things, we're going to go back to our navigation. And we're going to take a look at the star documents. So this is just like it is on the when you're using the browser or the desktop application. If you favorite documents within your repository, you'll be able to see them here in your starred area. Additionally, you'll be able to see your recent documents. So we'll go ahead and refresh that. But any new documents that you add should show up here in this recent area. It does take a little bit of time, it seems, for it to update this accordingly. So in a little while, we'll see that picture that I just imported in called class, and we'll be able to look at it there. Mobile uploads. So within this area, this is just showing any of the documents that you uploaded through the mobile app. It's not showing documents that you have also uploaded maybe through the desktop client. So if you are scanning in documents on your computer into Laserfiche, they're not going to show up here. It's just going to show you what's been uploaded through your mobile device. The maps, as I had mentioned earlier, this is this functionality. I mean, it's kind of there if you are using if you have Laserfiche Cloud, but you'll get the most out of the functionality if you have a self-hosted environment where you can configure the maps that you want it to use. And then again, it will display the results of any documents that are associated with your search range right there on the map. Additionally, you can see your recycle bin, and anything that's been deleted by you, you'll see within your recycle bin. What I thought was really interesting is when I was playing around with the app, if you have permissions to purge documents from your recycle bin, you could actually purge them out of the recycle bin from the mobile app. but again, that's only if you have the appropriate permission. So if I were to select purge, it's going to permanently delete that document from my repository altogether, from the recycle bin, and it's gone forever. And so that takes it out, and you don't have to worry about that. So I just thought that was fun. In the 3 dots, you can see, what it has the ability to do, granted your permissions. And then shared, this is what this is showing is if you do any direct sharing from your repository. This is specific for cloud environments or self-hosted hybrid environments that have direct share. You would be able to see any of the documents that you have shared out using direct share. And so we can see all of the instances that we've had recently, any of them that are currently still active or any that are inactive now at this point, because you do have the ability to say, hey, I want this to be available for download for either 7 days or 30 days. And then after it's inactive, it flows into that inactive area. So those are the kind of repository functions. Before we move on to kind of the settings and the offline stuff, I want to go back into our repository and then show what we can kind of do with the documents from there. I'm going to head back into Clerk Services and Incoming Scans. So within the Laserfiche app, you do have the ability to download documents for offline use, and you can also check in and check out documents. So if you are traveling for the day and you're about to get on a plane, you can go ahead and grab that Word document, check it out by clicking the checkout demo. Click OK. And then from there, it is checked out just like you would expect any other type of checkout to work. So it will lock the document. Users will be able to view it, but they won't be able to make any changes to it until you check that document back in. So I can go ahead and take a look. So this is what my Word document looks like. I can go ahead and make changes to it if I want. So I'm going to click that edit button down at the bottom. Any of the changes that you would make are just using whatever your phone editing capabilities are. So I'm going to go ahead and just save it to my device so I can easily find it. And then we're going to go ahead and X out of there. So now I'm done editing my document. We can see here that it's still checked out, but if I want to check it back in, I just click on those 3 dots again, and then I can go ahead and check in the document. You have to select the file that you want to upload. So I'm just going to upload or select my upload, and then I want to override the existing document. So you can save it as a new version. So it will save on top of the old version and it will keep both copies. We can override the existing document. That's what I'm going to do here. So it will essentially replace it with my new version, or you can save it as a new document altogether. So you have 2 separate documents in that folder. Demo. I'll go ahead and say, okay. And now we can see here that little icon is no longer on my Word document. So it's checked back in and other team members can go ahead and make changes on it if necessary. Additionally, I'm going to go ahead and click the document above. So this is the terms and conditions screenshot that I took from the cloud environment when I was playing around yesterday. But as you can see here, this is a JPEG file, but I can view the I can show you here. These are the different things that you can do with that document. So I'm going to go ahead and click that first one. This is going to show us all the metadata associated with the document. I can click show advanced and it's going to show me all the advanced fields as well, just like it does, when you're logged into the Laserfiche client. I can look at the metadata fields or make updates if I want, add, remove fields if needed. That middle one allows you to do annotations. So here I can go ahead and say, I want to add a new stamp. So it adds my stamp there. Do I want to save them? Continue. Okay. Oops, sorry, go back in there. Again, that middle icon allows me to do those annotations. So here I'm just kind of scribbling on it. I can change the color if I want. We can change the opacity. And then if I click the checkbox there up at the top, that's just going to go ahead and save those annotations to my file. And so now anybody who goes in there can see it. I also do have the ability to turn the annotations on and off, as you can see here by this little indicator. So I can see the document with annotations or without. That's one of the really neat things about Laserfiche is that when you apply annotations to documents, you're not necessarily marking up the document permanently. You're essentially just adding another layer for your notative purposes, which is great because if you're going to email out the document or you want to send it to a friend, whatever, download it, you can choose to do it with annotations or without, assuming you have the appropriate permissions. And then let's go ahead and click on, so if you click this arrow, it allows you to then download it to your offline copies. And then if we click on the three dots, here is where it's going to allow you to rename the document, edit the Laserfiche image, switch the view. So whether you're viewing the electronic document or the Laserfiche image, you can open in another application, we can share, or we can take a look at the location details. If we click share, depending on what your organization has configured as far as sharing documents out, we can either email a link, we can do the direct share, or we can just share it. So I'm going to do direct share. I'm going to send it to myself. We can have it set up again for 7 days, 1 day, however we want to do it. We can even add another or add a password for added protection. I'm going to leave that off. And then there we've got our document, and then I can go ahead and just click send. And then I will have an email show up with the direct share where I can go ahead and download the document. So we'll give that a second to show up. All right, so we've got some new email notifications. Files have been sent. So here is the direct share. So if you send something out via direct share, this is what your recipient receives. A new file's been sent to you, and then they can go ahead and click that and download a copy of the document. And it will save, whatever they're saving it on, it'll save that way. So I'm not going to actually do that, but that's how it works. And then if I go back into mobile app, we'll be able to see, if I go back into my shared area, we'll see that there was a newly shared document here that we had sent out. My time it looks like it's set up a little bit weird, but you can definitely control what time zone your app is compatible with. But that's based on what you have set up within your cloud environment. So you would have to log into the Laserfiche cloud environment or your self-hosted environment where you can configure, what your time zones are and specifically for your organization. All right, so now I want to jump into the navigation pane once more, and we're going to go ahead and take a look at the offline area. And we're going to take a look at the documents. So this is just showing me any documents that I have created for offline use right here. So whether I've created it or whether it was from Laserfiche and I saved it for offline access, you can set it up either way. But if we actually go back into the repository, and we're going to go back into services, scans. If I hit those three dots again, I have the ability to save an offline copy. It's one of my options there, and then it's going to save it in my offline area. And you can do the same thing with Laserfiche Forms, where if I go into my start a process, maybe I want this accounts payable one. Oops. I could save any of my forms instances for offline use as well. And then finally, we're going to go back in here and we're going to take a look at the settings. And I just kind of want to talk through what we have available here connected with my Laserfiche cloud environment in the settings. So I have it set up so that right now it only uploads documents using Wi-Fi. So it's not going to be using my cellular data. You can have it set up either way. If you have it turned on for Wi-Fi uploading only, you have to be connected with Wi-Fi and then your documents will resync automatically. Enable analytics, so that just sends information to Laserfiche to help them improve the app, so kind of how you're using it, and if you receive error messages, those automatically go to Laserfiche. Save to gallery, so when you take pictures, you can have that, like when you take pictures while you're using the Laserfiche app, like if you want to upload documents or submit evidence or submit, you know, an attachment or a supplemental file that goes along with one of your form submissions, if you have this selected, it will save the image to the device's gallery. If you have it not submitted, it will just upload it as part of the forms process, and then it won't be associated with that user's, you know, mobile pictures. This is something that we would recommend maybe leaving off so that they're not saving documents on their personal devices if, you know, it's set up that way. You can have it set up to save to the SD card versus their device. Showing top results. So this is good if you have pinpointed results, but you have thousands of results. You can show just the top ones. You can have it set up so that it syncs offline and online based on when you sign in. So again, when you are out and about on the road, if you have documents set up for offline use and offline submissions, and then once you reconnect online, it will automatically push those documents back into your repository. Remove outdated items. So if they haven't been automatically remove outdated offline forms, tasks, and drafts when signing in. So if it's old, I'm not exactly sure what the criteria of old entails in this scenario, but you can have it set up to remove those automatically. Save offline. This is where you can set up your fingerprint on my Android device. I can go ahead and just click save, and then it just, again, walks you through how to do it. I'm not going to do that, but you can definitely set that up. And then if you have any questions on like what you can do in the mobile app in your version, or you want to get access to the help files, I mean, that's all right here in the settings. So you can click the help files and it will bring you directly to the Laserfiche help files for the mobile app. So you can search and, you know, find whatever information you might be looking for. You can view your connection information. This might be important if you're trying to troubleshoot an issue you're having within the mobile app. You would find it there, and what version you're on, and then all that other good information. So those are the settings, and the mobile app. Again, this is really great. You know, if you have users that are out and about, or they just need to kind of use Laserfiche in a somewhat basic way while they're out and about, they can do it right there from their mobile device. Again, we have had some organizations say they prefer, instead of using the mobile app, to just, again, log in to Laserfiche through their browser on their mobile device. you can do it either way. It's really just about user preference and what you're trying to do. So I'm going to jump back. The PowerPoint. And then we're going to go ahead and finish up with CDI resources. So these are resources that are available. You can log into our client portal. I always want to direct people to our website. There's lots of other helpful resources, videos, blog posts on using the Laserfiche mobile app that you can take advantage of, or you can log into our client portal to find any other documentation. Our YouTube library, again, is another really great resource for other topics that may be of interest to you. And then, of course, Laserfiche has their own set of resources. So we've got the solution blog or solution exchange, where you can go and see how other organizations might be leveraging their Laserfiche system. So you can definitely follow any of those links. Getting started guides are some of my favorites. It's a kind of ebook of how to do anything Laserfiche. So definitely go ahead and take a look at those e-guides. And then from here, I will open it up to questions. So I'm going to go ahead and take a look. We have a question for what is the fee? I imagine, or I assume the ask is what is the cost for having the Laserfiche mobile app? And I want to kind of reiterate that the mobile app is bundled into a lot of licensing platforms. It just needs to be configured. And then if you are supported under the CDI umbrella, if you reach out to our support team, they'll assist you with configuring and getting it installed at no additional cost. It's just a matter of whether or not it's bundled into your licensing or not. If it's not bundled into your licensing, then you have to have an add-on, and that's really dependent of which platform of Laserfiche you are on. And it might be based on user cost and how many users you have in the system. And so that's something that I can reach out to you directly and assist you with figuring out. But most platforms now, if you are on a more recent platform of Laserfiche, it's just bundled in. You just got to get it configured or just download the app and get access. We got another question. How frequently does Laserfiche update their mobile app for both Android and Apple? And I guess that's a really great question, one that I am not quite equipped to answer. I think it varies depending on kind of what users are asking for. So I know that they had most recently updated the version, I think back in September. And then prior to that, I think it was in January. So I want to say maybe it's every 6 months or so. But the mobile app I know is a little bit different than the Laserfiche client itself. So that's something I can dig into and get back to you as well directly. Doesn't look like we have any additional questions at this time. So I'm going to go ahead and just say thank you everybody for joining me today. Hopefully you learned something new, maybe saw something you liked. If there's anything that I can do to help, please feel free to reach out to me with my contact details here, and I will go ahead and respond to you at that time. Thank you, everyone.